Hello international friends, now comes the English translation of the Dispilio little artifact that looks a little bit like a very small glass drinking vessel, and it's just 3 centimeters in the height and 3.5 centimeters the radius and 2.9 by 2.9 centimeters. So you can imagine that it is a very small artifact. And there are 3 inscriptions inside, in the bottom, and outside. And now, when you read about the inscriptions, we have transcribed these here, and finally this here. So it's 1, 2, 3, and going clockwise and very quickly. Sa, apsa, zosa, and then ion massas. So sa is what is yours or who is yours in a feminine form. In the female form, your woman, let's say. Ion massas, ios, as we said, is the arrow, but it's also the kind of a poison, okay? So, just by this word, we understand very quickly that this vessel is so small because it was used to give either poisons or, of course, medicine, because medicinal chemistry can become eventually poison depending on the dosage and the use. So, ion massas, okay, mao is a verb that means to mix up. After I mixed up the poison, okay, apsa, like I grabbed, zosa, living. So, what it means is, after I prepared the poison, I grabbed, let's say, that's a verb in an aorist, I grabbed the woman that is yours and alive. So it's probably some kind of abduction or some kind of an unwanted situation, and the person who would eventually do harm to her went out of the way, and he went out of the way through this poison. So the second inscription is this one. As you see, there is no big difference in the writing. It's very familiar, just almost identical to what we already know. So it's voio synio ioli matere vesde zoion thes. Okay, now we have some things to discuss here. First of all, ioli matere, that's an evocative form, but take a note that the vocative of mater is not something like mater or meter, if you like, in more Ionian form, but it's still matere. Okay? Ioli, it seems that it was a deity of life and death at the same time. And in the course of our discussion, you will start wondering whether you should see the etymology as from ios, which is poison, let's say, and olimi or olo, which is I destroy. Now, voion synio, that's accusative form, and that's, let's say, a genitive form. Let's say a genitive form. It should be a separate case, like a possessive case, but call it, so voios, son of Sinos, okay. O Mother Ioli. Ves, that's ves, which is, let's say in a sense that bring or make it so that it happens. And this there is a conjunction, like and. So if that's a verb and that's a conjunction, you need another verb after it, and you indeed have it. Here, thes zoion. So come and put him into life, let's say. So make him, for example, cure him, maybe protect him in that sense. And now comes a second matter. We said zoion is alive, but here you see life as zoe, but not with an omega, but with a short version of omicron. And of course, you have to think that back then there were indeed dialectical differences, and we have seen already sometimes instances of omicron being written with an u, which in the long run can end up like an omega because of sharing common ways of writing. So this is not something very irregular, in a sense that we are talking about 5500 BC. And there are also some dialectical differences, like the vocative matere instead of mater. And the third text is this one. And just like the first, the second, the third text, its scripture is totally identical with linear A, B, and Cretan hieroglyphics. There's nothing really unfamiliar. So, ion, olon, hiosa. Now, ios, as we said, is a poison. Olos is the deadly, the destructive. Okay? And hiosa, that's a verb from heo, which is I pour something. But again, you might ask, then why is the stem of the word not with epsilon, he, and it's instead of he? Let's not forget that even in classical Greek, it has a double stem, like hiso, or if you like in the present perfect, kehika, and this he is written like that. So I have poured. In that sense, that's taught a general inscription showing the use of this small vessel, explaining why it is so small, and says that I poured deadly poison, let's say. So, oh, by the way, we have an element that this is the voice of the vessel itself. It's as if the vessel itself is talking, and this is typical also in other instances of other vessels. This is it. I would like to thank our kind photographer, Themis, and until next time, I wish you all the best.